Chicago is in a bit of a boil right now. Over the weekend, a father called the police because his 19-year-old son, Quintonio Legrier, if I'm pronouncing that right, I've not heard this in any media, so I may be mispronouncing his name. If so, my apologies to him and his family. Dad was concerned because the son was running around with a baseball bat, banging the walls of his bedroom, and basically was saying, my son needs help. So his son, the police showed up, and his son, being black, the help that they offered him was a bullet. And not only did they kill his son, but they killed a 55-year-old woman who was just like apparently in another apartment. They were firing so many bullets at this guy. They killed him, plus they killed this 55-year-old mother of 5. And the police are, looking into this, but this is what the mother of this young man said. She said, "My son was going somewhere. He wasn't just a thug on the street. We're thinking the police are going to service us, take him to the hospital. Instead, they took his life." It's amazing. Over 1,000 Americans dead at the hands of police in the United States in 2015. Disproportionately, 2-to-1 disproportionately African-American versus white. We've got a serious problem, not just with guns in this problem. 33,000 people died from guns. About once a week, a toddler shoots somebody in the United States. Over 30,000 people dead from guns. Over 1,000 people dead by police with guns. I mean, this is a serious, serious issue. So what do we do about this? I think that if you look at, like, one of the networks, I forget which one, did a piece last week on Singapore and their educational system. In Singapore, in order to be a teacher, now they have the best schools in the world, and they have the best educational outcome in the world. In Singapore, in order to become a teacher, you have to graduate in the top 10% of your class before you can even be considered for teaching college, for teachers' college. Top 10% of your high school class, top 10% of your undergraduate college class. They pay teachers very, very well. So only hire the very best and pay them really well and give them a lot of resources. I think we should be doing the same thing with police. And oddly enough, the opposite is happening. There are police departments around the United States. And in fact, there is a lawsuit. We reported on it here on this program maybe 6 months ago. And I haven't seen a single report on it since then. So I don't know if it's been dismissed or if it's on its way to a higher court. But there was a young man who applied to be a police officer. As I recall, it was a town in Wisconsin, but I could be wrong. Do any of you guys remember where that was? We did the story. It was maybe half a year ago. Anyhow, he applied to be a police officer, and part of the test he had to take was an IQ test, and he scored high on the IQ test. His IQ was above 120, and so they turned him down. They said, "We will not hire anybody with an IQ above 120." And I went on the air going, "What is this, nuts? This is crazy stuff." And police officers and others from around the country called in and said, no, this is standard policy in many police departments around the country. Now, the rationale is they say, hey, if somebody has a high IQ, then they're probably not going to be satisfied being a cop for the rest of their life. And so why should the department go to all of the time and money investment in training somebody to be a police officer when with a higher IQ, they're eventually going to end up an engineer or something? But I think that's crazy too. What's wrong with having smart cops? In fact, I think it would be a good thing to have smart cops. And, you talk about how people are painted with the brush of hey, you only have that job because. I mean, this is the affirmative action thing. White people are fond of saying, things like, Clarence Thomas is only there because of affirmative action. Well, maybe not. I mean, but this is kind of the reverse of that, or maybe it's the same thing. But it's like that police officers are not allowed to be smart. I think instead we should be hiring the best and the brightest. We should be paying well. We should be providing, and police need to be under the control of their local community. I mean, serious control. And the groups that investigate police killings have to be completely independent of the local prosecutor's office and the police department. This is pretty straightforward stuff. So anyhow, this is another tragic shooting, or another racist shooting. Who knows? I mean, we'll see how this thing plays out in Chicago, and the pressure grows on Mayor Rahm Emanuel to do something. Meanwhile, in Harvard medical scientists have pointed out that 1,058 Americans have been killed by police so far in 2015. The number of law enforcement-related deaths per capita is twice as high among African Americans as it is in the white population. And they're saying that this is a public health epidemic. The project is called The Counted. This is being done by The Guardian, the UK newspaper. And the proposal was inspired by a year of continuous protests and public pressure from the Black Lives Matter movement, which is brilliant. Harvard researchers have called on U.S. public health agencies to consider police killings a public health issue. To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.